So today I wanted to bring you a video on the hiring and training process that lifeguards go through at Six Flags. This is my personal experience. I lifeguarded for Six Flags and all of this occurred in 2014. I unfortunately wasn't able to go back in 2015. I actually transferred to another department, and I'll explain why for that a little bit later on in this video towards the end. Keep watching if you want to see what it's like getting hired and the training process of becoming a lifeguard at Six Flags. So for the Six Flags that I worked for, the hiring events started for a lot of departments in mid to late February. I remember going in, it's pretty cold outside still, probably late February I would say, and you go in, you kind of fill out, like you check in, and then they have you sit at a table. When you check in, you tell them which department you want to work for, and then they will contact the managers that are there that are doing all the hiring. So for me, it took probably about a half an hour for me to get called. There were so many different departments there and so many people, and I got brought back into the back, and they go through your interview, they go through what you've done before, kind of why you want to become a lifeguard, why you want to work for Six Flags, and they kind of get a feel of you as a person. They do have to hire a lot of people, so I don't think it's as intensive as an interview as I've had for some other jobs where they can be more selective, because Six Flags does need to hire so many people, so they don't really have that luxury. They do try to get the best candidates though. My interview was probably about 25 to 30 minutes, and then I was offered the job on the spot, and they basically had me pick out whichever lifeguard training that I wanted to go to. So unfortunately the first weekend was full, so I signed up for the second weekend, which I believe was the last weekend in March of 2014. And so once you pick the date that you want to go, you go into filling out all of the new hire paperwork. So you fill out your I-9, your all of your tax documentations, all of your 2 forms of ID, you need all of that. You go through, sign all the paperwork saying either the policies of Six Flags, and then you get signed up for discovery or rediscovery training if you've worked there before. I started at Six Flags the previous fall for Fright Fest, so I'd already gone through discovery, so I only had to go through rediscovery, which is basically discovery training is 4 hours, rediscovery for former employees is only 2 hours. They do offer you, if you can't make any of the rediscovery dates, they can let you go to a discovery training and just kind of sit through half of it, which I think was really cool, because they only have certain times and certain dates because they do it at HR. Basically, it's not technically on the park, it's across the street, but they have you sit through the 2 hours, and they're like, hey, we're gonna take a break, but if anybody's here for rediscovery and they only needed 2 hours, you can go ahead and leave. And that was, I want to say, probably a week after I got hired. And then I went to my lifeguard training in the last week of March of 2014, and that was a 2-day, pretty tedious process. But I learned a lot. And you go, I believe it's either 8 to 6, 9 to 6, 10 to 6, something like that. The first day, which is Saturday, which is 100% basically in the pool. You have to swim your laps. They have to make sure that you can swim, I believe, at 200, which is 850 yards back and forth. And then if you can't do that, unfortunately, you can only be a shallow water guard, which I could explain in a different video if you guys wanted to know what that was. But if you swim that, and then you start all of your training. So you learn all of the saves, you learn how to jump off effectively, you learn which whistle blows you're supposed to do, and then you also learn like how to backboard, and you practice, you sort of rotate and you go through it over and over and over again. And then that Saturday and then Sunday, you only are in the pool for a half a day. So basically Sunday, you're testing out of everything, so they just go through everything 1 or 2 more times depending like per person. So say you don't pass it, or there's one little thing that they technically can't pass you on, they'll like have you do it again. And then we went to lunch, and then after that we had all this first aid training, and then we had to take our written test that you have to pass in order to be a certified guard with Six Flags. And so once mostly everybody passes, it's not too hard of a test if you paid attention to the entire weekend. And then we got to go home, and then we had another training probably a week or two. The park opened. Second week in April, because you're supposed to do an hour of in-service training, which is basically just keeping your knowledge up to par. You have to do an hour of that every week, and we had to go. We were all on stand, we all had our guard tubes, we were all in uniform and everything, and it was freezing. Like, it was pouring, and we were on stand, and then they made us go in the water, and the water was probably like 50 to 40 degrees. It was so cold. I remember everybody was so miserable. We were all like, we're gonna get sick, but then all of our like head guards and supervisors were like, well, we gotta do it, so and that sucked. So on a different in-service, that actually might have been the week prior to that, we got trained on the slides in our area. So the part of the park I was in, we had 2 big slides. We had the new slide Bonsai had just opened, I believe the year prior, and then we also had the little kid slides. So we had to get trained. Because I was only 17, I could only become trained on like the bottom, like to lifeguard. I couldn't be trained as like, if I had to like sub in for a water attendant, or the people that basically made sure everybody was safe going down the rides. A lot of like the over 18 people were allowed to go to the top, and they were certified on like how to send people down on Bonsai and all the other ones. I was able to be a like a water attendant for all the kids rides, just because they were a lot smaller, and so if you were under 17, we were allowed to actually be an acting water attendant for those. On top of, you also got certified on all the pools and how to rove and how to do all the rotations, which we had, I believe, a week before that first in-service. And after that, the park opened April break for high schoolers, so I believe it's the 3rd or 4th week in April usually. The park is open for the entire week, and then after that it's open on weekends up until Memorial Day, which is usually the last weekend in May. Like I said before, I had worked Fright Fest the season prior. I also worked the fall after I lifeguarded, and the following year, the following summer, I was actually a water technician in the water park. It was a lot better pay, and it was more hours. I can make an entire video on kind of how I felt about being a water tech and the experience dealing with that in a different video if you guys want to see that. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you learned a little bit more about the hiring process to become a lifeguard at Six Flags, and also the training that a lot of the lifeguards go through. They go through so much training. After that weekend, what I forgot to mention earlier, I was so bruised, like my entire knees down to my ankles. I was so bruised from jumping in and out of the pool the entire time. I was solid like purple from my like knees down, and like I had scrapes everywhere, like I had like toenails fall off. It was not pleasant. That was a painful week the week after. But like I said, thank you guys for watching. If you have any suggestions on any other videos, please let me know in the comments down below. Give this a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe. Have a great day, guys. Bye.